But yeah, so London Card Show. Obviously, we both went on Saturday, made some content, met a lot of people, and then obviously we both vended on the Sunday. So, what was your sort of thoughts coming out of London Card Show?
I feel, yeah, I mean, to start off, it's super fun. I have like a great time. I think this is the second time we've been, although this is the first time we went for the whole weekend. We stayed in a hotel and did the whole weekend. It's always great. Like even if you take away the cards, which sounds like a weird thing, but just seeing everyone, seeing lots of people that you've spoke to, interacted with online, and you either have never met them before, you rarely get to see them. It's just great meeting up with them in a card based environment where you can do lots of things. You can go buy stuff, you can open packs, you can you don't even have to go there with an intention of like spending loads of money. Like I still to this day have not gone there and been like, I'm looking for this card, I'm looking for this grail, I'm looking for something really expensive. Like I just go have a good time, open packs and speak to people, which is, I think, yeah, the best part of it for me is the community side of it, I think. But yeah, it was great. It was obviously very different for us when we vended on the Sunday. It's just, you're not, you kind of stuck at the table, aren't you? You can't really just go around and speak to people and sort of take it easy because you're there trying to sell products. And that was the first time for both of us, and it was super last minute. But I still think it went really well. How do you think it went?
Yeah, I think I agree with you in terms of like I've never gone in with the intention to find like a specific item or grow. I think a lot of people do go to the card shows and they want to do these kind of deals. I mean, I had set up a deal anyway to trade the Moltres EX tin, so that was kind of like but that was it gives you the opportunity to kind of get deals done before, then you can do it in person. I think
Yeah.
that's one of the beauties of these kind of card shows. But I never really went in with the intention to find something specific. I think that community aspect of it, meeting people that you talk to, on a daily basis in the community, people that you've had, we've had on the podcast and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
it's that side of it, I think, is, as you said, take the cards out of it. It's a good opportunity to kind of meet people. But it was very different vendoring on the Sunday. I think you kind of can't do that when you're actually vendoring. I mean, you see people, that and they come over and say hi, but it's not the same thing. I think it's definitely an experience that, coming out of it, I enjoyed. I think we both had the opportunity to offer something that a lot of tables weren't offering at the card show. I think a lot of people is, in terms of like trading card games, it was predominantly Pokemon. You have Yu-Gi-Oh there as well, and other card games and such, but there was not really a presence. I mean, there was none. I don't think there was really any other arena apart from yourself, and same for Flesh and Blood for me. And Weiss was just mostly really the big sets like Disney and stuff like that, which makes sense. I think it's easy sell Disney Weiss set, but yeah, it's I mean it's definitely something that I want to do again. I mean, in terms of like doing card shows, it's something that I want next year to be something that I do on a full-time basis. But that definitely, that balance between having that when you're there with friends versus actually doing it as a business, it's very different.
When you say you want to do it more, is that in terms of vendoring, you mean?
Yeah, I'd like to do it more as next year. The plan is to do a card show a month if possible. Logistics, I need to kind of sort that out because I don't drive, so that's something that I'll have to sort out in the short term to ensure that it's kind of like logistically sound. It's not something that I have to kind of rely on other people.
Yeah, I guess when vendoring is different, you can't just hop on a train and go there. You've got to bring your stock with you and your binders, and you can't just carry all of that onto a train or something like that. So yeah, it's a very different
Yeah.
thing to think about. But yeah, I mean, I think we're both already planning on going to the next one already in terms of just attending. I don't know about you.
Yeah.
Are you planning on vendoring at the next one, actually?
Yes. I can only do the Saturday. Most likely, I can only do the Saturday anyway.
Yeah.
if I can do the whole weekend, I'll do one day the same vendor and one day not. But I think the focus probably for card shows now is going to be vendoring. Now it's kind of like the focus is on like Rave Tavern cards. It's a really good opportunity, not just to make sales, kind of get your name out, but that networking's a really good opportunity on these kind of shows.
And you are you going to be mainly selling Flesh and Blood? Is that the aim for the vendoring?
Yeah, so it'll be predominantly Flesh and Blood. Obviously, that's what Rave Tavern cards is about. I think there'll always be like room for other card games. I think Flesh and Blood alone isn't enough to get people to the table. I think having those Pokemon items, which I did at the last London card show, and it worked well. So I think I'll probably continue doing that. I'll have Flesh and Blood, Magic the Gathering, Pokemon, hopefully One Piece as well by then. In the process of being set up properly with distribution. So we'll see how that goes. But I think kind of offering a variety of card games is kind of in line with how I've been collecting. And it kind of makes sense to kind of carry that over the business.
So how well would you say Flesh and Blood did? I know the last time we went to London Card Show, we attended and you were like on the lookout to see if anyone was actually selling it. I think there may have been like one place that sold it and had like half a box that you bought. But yeah, how did Flesh and Blood do in terms of sales at the London Card Show for you? Did you see much else of it out there?
Yeah, so I saw one single card myself there. I know that UK Blue Eyes Dylan said that a few people asked him about it. So I don't think it's changed much, honestly. I think it's quite stagnated in the UK, and I've talked about this on the channel before. But I found one card which I ended up trading for anyway because it was a card I actually needed. But the consensus kind of was that a lot of stores where they're online only can't stock Flesh and Blood because it's only brick and mortar. So that's a loophole that I've got to kind of jump through myself as an online store. But it kind of makes it more challenging and more fun, I suppose. But yeah, sales for me did quite well. I believe I made 11 separate sales for Flesh and Blood. So that was, more for me. I mean, I gave a couple of packs out for free to people to kind of try. And some of those people ended up buying some packs afterwards. So I'd say I took out of it, as a success, really. And interested to kind of see different card shows across the country, whether or not, because Flesh and Blood is very much about specific communities. So a lot of people that are kind of players of Flesh and Blood won't be going to card shows necessarily, like in London, for instance. But if there's a card show near their local store where there's a group of like 40 players, then potentially there's the opportunity to kind of get a couple of those. But we'll see. I'll be bringing more playable singles for the next show so that, if there's any players there, they can pick up some cards they need.
Yeah, and I guess it was similar with White Shores. Like, you had the more normal sets that people recognise, like Disney, and those ones sort of here and there scattered across different tables at the shows. But when it comes to those, anime-based new sets like Slime and things like that, people weren't really interested. And I don't know if it's just that it's not the right place for it at the moment, if that makes sense. Like, I mean, especially White Shores, mainly player-based. There's a, tiny collector base to that. But it's mainly players, and are players going to London Card Show that don't collect? Probably not, realistically.
Yeah.
I actually sold more Union Arena than anything else, and yeah, which is surprising because it's not doing so well. Like, Union Arena, just the general consensus that I feel out there, opinions online, is that it looks nice, there's some collectors like it, but playability... Actually, I've just watched a video recently where some people who are collectors just said it looked rubbish and didn't like it at all when they compared it to things like Build Divide and other Japanese TCGs. But I think the reason why it did well at London Card Show is just because of the sets that I had, just the IPs. I had Demon Slayer and Jujutsu Kaisen, and people are buying it for those IPs, not for Union Arena, if that makes sense. Yeah. So they massively carried those sales, in my opinion. But yeah, it's definitely like I guess potentially what's lacking at the London card show is that it's a big card show for collectors. There's not a lot there for players, isn't
Yeah,
potentially the same for Flesh and Blood. Like there's, you've probably got a lot more players in the Flesh and Blood community, don't you?
yeah, yeah. It's mostly player based.
Yeah, so it'd be interesting to see if there could be something where it attracts players, maybe some sort of tournament. I don't know. I'm just throwing ideas out there. It's it's on sort of the card shows to figure out what they want to do, right? But yeah, I guess our problem we have is the TCGs that we want to sell don't have a massive player collector base, sorry, which can make things like this a little bit more difficult. Obviously, you had Pokemon on the table as well, and that did get a lot of people over. But it was super last minute for both of us. Like we didn't have stands, we didn't have banners. Like it was literally like a week or two before. It was like, yeah, we've got a table. So yeah, I mean, it was definitely like we didn't have time to really prepare, but I think it worked out well. I think going to that one definitely means that if you ever do another event, you have way more knowledge of like the things you want to bring, the things that will potentially do well, the things that potentially won't, because we've had that day of seeing what draws people in, what they're buying and what they're doing. So yeah, I think it went really well regardless, even just taking that learning experience away from it.